Oh, hello, it is I, Gomi, and we are back coming off the tails of that amazing UFC 281 card, and I'm going to say this outright. This is probably the best card of the year. No, it was definitely the best card of the year, and honestly, one of the best cards of all time, but I hated it. Oh man, it was so close to perfection for me, as I'm sure if you've watched the channel, you know why. Well, getting into it, let's go over the early prelims and preliminary card. I'm just going to briefly mention these, but I'm not going to go into detail about them. Carlos Ulberg gets the KO round 1 against Nikolai. I'm not even going to try. Not even going to try. Then Montel Jackson gets a decision victory over Julio Arts. We then have a round 1 TKO for Mike Trezano against Choi Sing Woo. Carlina Kowalski versus Silvina Gomez Juarez. Carolina gets the decision victory. Matt Favola versus Adman Azatir. He gets a round 1 KO. That was a pretty good fight. Also, pay attention that we're alternating between round 1 KO, decision, round 1 KO, decision, round 1 KO, and it persists even into the preliminary card, only being broken by Reyes and Spann. But Andre Petrosky, round 3 decision over Wellington Turner. Then Aaron Blanchfield gets a round 1 finish over Molly McCann, ending the hype train, which kind of sucks. I did like Molly, and I still do, but man, Blanchfield's good. Dominic Reyes returns only to get knocked out by Ryan Spann, as I saw coming. Round 1 TKO. Actually, not even round 1 TKO, that was a knockout. And then Brad Riddell, poor Brad Riddell. He has had such an awful streak. He's lost his last 3 fights. He gets submitted round 1 by Renato Moicano. By the way, exactly how I expected the fight to go, and I called that one exactly if you watched my breakdown. He got out jabbed, the jab landed, and then he got dropped and submitted. Now we're going to be going to the main card. An amazing main card. Every fight was a finish. Every fight on the main card was a finish. The last time I remember this happening on a pay-per-view was, I believe, Usman versus Masvidal, that card. Regardless, man, let's go over this. First, we're going to be looking at Dan Hooker versus Claudio Puelles. That was a sad fight. Sad. I didn't have faith in Hooker. I didn't have a whole ton of faith in him, I will be honest with you, but he surprised me. And also, Claudio Puelles surprised me, but more in a so way, surprised me at how poor he honestly was, in my honest opinion. Claudio Puelles was missing 2 major things in this fight. He was missing heart, and he only had one strategy, one game plan. When that strategy and that game plan of going for that knee bar didn't work, he had no further answers. He didn't try to attempt anything else. He just kept going for it and getting more and more tired. Hooker was seeing through it. He started wearing him out. He did really good. He almost had Dan in that first round, absolutely. But Dan persevered. He knew how to get out of that particular knee bar situation. And then after that, Claudio had no answer, and he just had no heart. He had absolutely no heart. He got completely and totally depressed from how poor he was doing. His confidence was shot, and Dan just kept picking apart, sniping him, and he just had no answers. And that's sad. You can't do that. He got lucky and bestowed to fight against an aging and withered Dan Hooker on one of the biggest cards of the year and the biggest, most important venue of all time, main card on a pay-per-view. And he fought like that. Dan Hooker capitalized it. That was his night. Dan Hooker looked really great, honestly, in that fight. And Claudio was a dangerous fighter. I'm not going to go out here and say he was some can. He was a dangerous fighter. But Hooker proved to be the better man that night, which is great. Oh my god. And again, if you watch my breakdowns, again, I called this fight. In fact, actually, I called every single fight, almost. The only thing I was wrong was Israel Adesanya. And also how Dustin won. But Frankie Edgar versus Chris Gutierrez. Chris Gutierrez knocks out Frankie Edgar in 2 minutes. Awful fight. Shouldn't have been there. Shouldn't have happened. And you can even tell Chris himself, he was not feeling good about that. That's the biggest win of his career. finished a legend like Frankie Edgar in Madison Square Garden, and he just looked so horrible about it. And I don't blame him. Finished this man in front of his family, his retirement fight, knocked him out. That's the third time in a row Frankie Edgar had been brutally, violently knocked out. Why did we give him a guy who was 18-3? Why did we give him a young and hungry fighter? Why couldn't we give him someone older, like a Cruz? Uriah Faber's still fighting, is he not? Didn't he come out of retirement? Like, just why on earth did we give him that kind of fight? We knew what was going to happen. We knew he didn't stand a chance. He shouldn't have been in there, but he was in there, and he was hurt. He was hurt badly, and that was disgusting. Regardless, Chris Gutierrez capitalized on it. Probably earned a lot of fans of how he wasn't trash talking Frankie after the fact. I think he trash talked him during the press conference, but he felt bad about it. He capitalized it. It was his moment to seize, and he seized it. Great knockout. Sad to see the legend go like that, but much respect to Frankie Edgar for all he's done for the sport, being a champion during the golden age. People are only going to really remember his last 3 knockouts against Chito and Sandhagen, where he got brutally knocked out. They're not going to remember his wars against freaking Gray Maynard. That was amazing. Go back and watch those fights. You want to see some vintage Frankie Edgar. The people's main event, the thing that saved my night and brought me from the brink of depression, Dustin Poirier versus Michael Chandler. As advertised, amazing fight, best fight on the card, and one of the best fights of the year. We all saw this coming. Honestly, if it wasn't for the amazing Yuri versus Glover fight that was way better at any rate being, this would have been the best fight of the year. Michael Chandler would have been on the losing end of 2 fight of the years at Madison Square Garden, which would be hilarious. But overall, let's go over this fight briefly. I'm going to go a little bit more detail about it later. I'm going to make a separate video about it because, yeah. But overall, Michael Chandler came out like we said he would. He came out swinging, guns blazing, threw some bombs. But Dustin had way better defense. The problem, though, is Chandler fought so dirty. His bombs were strong, but Dustin was shoulder rolling almost all of them up until he got hit with that headbutt. He didn't just get with any headbutt. He got headbutted by the hardest hitting 155er, freak of human nature, Michael Chandler. And that's what stunned Dustin, and that's what started to get him to back up against the fence and take a lot of damage. But as Dustin said, and as Weasel said, straight punches beat looping punches. Chandler was just throwing looping bombs, and then just Dustin was able to shoulder roll them very well. Very good defense, especially being as hurt as he was. Then Chandler went in for a takedown, mixed the wrestling. I'm surprised. Now, this was a poor point for Chandler's wrestling. His wrestling was absolutely a key for him winning this fight, and he did appropriately use it in round 2. But he gassed himself out throwing those bombs. By the time he started using his wrestling, he didn't really have much left for him, and he used his wrestling when he had Dustin hurt up against the fence, and he should have just kept throwing bombs. But that would have just gassed him out even further. Dustin proved to be an absolute savage, and like I said, the best striker 155, one of the best strikers in UFC right now. Countershotted him to oblivion. Chandler was hurt, and he just unloaded combo after combo. Beautiful combos, mixing from southpaw to orthodox, which he does a lot. A lot of people forget about shift combinations. Yes, he's predominantly southpaw, but he has good switch combinations, going to the body, going to the chin. He had Chandler in all sorts of pain and punishment. Almost finished him round 1, but the main thing was he busted his nose. Completely shot Chandler's gas tank just because of that. Magnificent job from Dustin. He got pretty handily taken out, or not taken out, but wrestled and out wrestled in round 2, which is Dustin's problem. Dustin, your problem is not you have no jiu-jitsu. Nobody's saying that. You don't have wrestling. That was Dustin's problem. That's where Chandler saw success, and honestly probably 10-8'd him in a round 2. But also mired with cheating. Putting his hands in his gloves. I didn't really see a lot of that, but he did do that. Spitting the blood in his face. And the worst thing of all was the fish hook. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And to try to say you didn't see it, There's no way you stick your fingers in a man's mouth and lift up his jaw. That's straight up a fish hook. You can't even glance over that. If you accidentally eye poked him, yeah, but no. Whatever the case is, Dustin then round 2 just kept hurting him. Chandler went for a really, really cool suplex, but overrolled it. Man, and then Dustin just wrapped his leg around, got that body lock, kept a very low base so Chandler could pick him up and slam him like he did against Olivier, and just got the choke. First person ever to submit Michael Chandler. Amazing. Dustin Poirier has completed the Just Bleed 4 of Eddie Alvarez, Justin Gaethje, and Michael Chandler. Finished all of them. He is the king of violence. He is the most violent 155er of all time. And man, I wish he could have been champion at some point. I don't think he's getting past the current champion, but regardless, one of the best to never win a belt. Moving on to Carla Esparza versus Zhang Weili. Carla actually brought the fight to her, I'm not going to lie. But ultimately, Zhang Weili got a second round submission. I gotta say, Zhang looked good. I thought wrestling was going to be Carla's strong suit. I thought she was really going to put the brakes on Zhang. And she did get her on the back. And we did see Zhang struggle to get up for a little bit. But ultimately, she definitely learned and improved from the Rose fight, the second Rose fight. Was able to out wrestle Esparza, and on the feet, Esparza did not know what she was doing. She's exclusively a wrestler. I'm sorry. She did not know what she was doing striking, and Esparza pieced her up, ran straight through her. The right, the kicks, everything was just hurting Esparza, and when she would then try to like counter strike back, Zhang would just take a few steps back, and Esparza would freeze in front of her. She did not know what she was doing. And then when it went to the ground, the scrambles were good on Esparza's part, but Zhang ultimately just had the better scrambles and was able to get that submission. I'm not even sure what kind of submission that was. That was like a modified crucifix into a headlock, a rear naked choke, but was it really rear naked? It was weird. Really weird submission. Not weird as in like weird bad, but weird as in unique. And a great job by Zhang. She ultimately got it done, and she is once again the new strawweight champion. I'm going to be honest with you. I love Rose. She soured me on the last fight. I think I'm rooting for Zhang no matter what now. I think Zhang is my girl at strawweight, and I hope she gets to hold on to the title for a good bit. They're trying to go to China for a UFC card. Please put Zhang on the main, as the main, like, yeah, definitely Zhang can headline a main card in China. Do it. Just stack the undercard, and boom, let's go. And what ruined my night? Great fight. Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira. They're now 3-0. Alex Pereira was once again knocked out Israel Adesanya. Honestly, if Izzy had won this would be my favorite card of all time because Izzy's my number 1. Dustin, thankfully, my number 2. Got the W in a great fight. Izzy fell short. It's so insane how much it parallels the second fight. It's so insane. Izzy was winning. Izzy was 3-1. He was up on the card. He was up on the scorecards. He was winning relatively easily. His grappling was far better than Pereira's, and Izzy does not have good grappling. But man, he was taking the fight to Pereira. But all of the little things throughout the fight were leaning and making it sway towards Pereira for a 5th round finish. Pereira was very smart during this fight, very deadly. He preserved all his energy for a flurry. He had a great corner that was really motivating him, and that's a lot of it. A lot of it's psychological. Look at the Leon Edwards fight. Sometimes you just need a good corner to tell you stop. I love the corner work. They did not tell him, all right, you're doing good, blah, blah. They said, no, you're going to lose. You finish him or you lose. It's up to you. Pereira's the man. He said, I want to win. So he went out there and won. He did a good job of, well, he ate a lot of Izzy's leg kicks, but he was finally able to get the rhythm, checked one, damaged Izzy's perennial nerve, and Izzy fell. He fell, he rolled. From that point on, Pereira did the smart thing, and he did not let up. He threw everything he had. Izzy showed that he had poor defensive aspects. He kept going for clinches, which opened up for straight punches right down the middle, and that right straight is ultimately what sealed the deal. And it, like, a lot of people are talking about left hook. No, it was actually that right straight that was what truly damaged Izzy, and his leg wasn't about him because of damage to his perennial nerve. He kept going for the clinch. Honestly, he should have went for a single. He should have dove for a single and just stalled it out, but he couldn't because big, strong Pereira. In the moment, I was saying probably early stoppage, but looking back at it, he would have just ate a knee. Any longer, he would have ate a knee, and we would have seen Izzy go out completely. Thankfully, he still had his wits about him at the end of the fight. Ultimately, it was a good fight. Pereira is well deserving of the new world middleweight champion. They got to run it back. They got to run it back. Will they run it back? I'm not going to lie to you, dude. I could absolutely see them slide Hamza Chimaev in there. I would not be surprised about that. You can kind of tell the UFC really wanted Izzy to lose because now he's no longer the pound for pound number 2. Number 1 pound for pound 2 is probably going to be Islam, who's fighting Volkanovski for the pound for pound number 1 title spot. I really am excited for a rematch between the two, but I'm also very worried because I don't know, man. Izzy did everything right in that fight, but Pereira did everything right in that fight except for that ill-fated takedown attempt. He should have tried that. Izzy needs to be perfect for 25 minutes. He slipped up for 1 minute, and that's all Pereira needed. That's all he needed, because that's the thing about Pereira. He's bigger, he's stronger, but that's all it comes to a fight. It comes down to his skills, and while Izzy is the more skilled fighter, as you saw by his slips and moves and amazing dodges, you're not going to be able to dodge everything, especially when you have a guy like Pereira who not only is bigger and stronger, is also of a similar level of skill. Well, that was UFC 281. Let me know what you guys thought about in the comments. I hope you took my picks, by the way. Other than the Izzy pick, you would have made some good money, as I did. Well, this has been Gomi. Bye-bye.